So, first of all, how important is organic?
So, first of all, you'd be surprised. I was just in the Asian market the other day, an Asian market that's not too far from where I live, and I was actually able to find organic foods there. And so many foods you could just ask the grocer, and they'll be able to tell you. So don't just take what's in front of you. Ask those questions if it's important for you to ask. Now, you asked a exciting question to me because it's an area of my research. How important is organic? First of all, let me just be really clear. I had for years been a skeptic of organic foods. Okay. I'm not anymore. But the reason I was a skeptic is because I kind of felt like it rubbed me the wrong way. Why should I pay more money to buy a food that's grown without chemicals in a more natural form so that I could actually have the privilege of avoiding pesticides? Like it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way that it would be marketed something that was more natural and had less chemicals. I had to pay more money to actually get the more natural stuff, right? Well, there's another reason that research now has shown very definitively the advantage of organic foods. And I want everyone to really hear this because it's important. This is science, not marketing. All right. Turns out that a study was done and published in the journal Nature by an agricultural group, horticultural group in England. And they were looking at strawberries. Now, strawberries, as we all know, have a very thin skin. You can't peel a strawberry very easily. And so a strawberry that's grown conventionally with pesticides, those pesticides are going to be stuck on that skin. And because the skin is very thin, the pesticides will tend to penetrate inside that flesh, right? Nobody wants to eat a pesticide, a chemical-laden strawberry, right? Okay. What the researchers did is they wanted to compare not the level of pesticides between conventional versus organic strawberries. They wanted to look at something that I care about, which is the bioactives, the good stuff in strawberries. Among many good stuff in strawberry, there's something called ellagic acid. Ellagic acid is what makes a strawberry tart. Like strawberries are sweet and a little tart. Ellagic acid makes it a little tart. And it turns out ellagic acid is so powerful. It actually can cut off the blood supply to cancers. You can eat strawberries to actually starve cancers. It also is really a powerful antioxidant. It stimulates your stem cells to repair your organs. Also feeds your gut microbiome, and it also is helpful for lowering inflammation as well, right? This is a really, really awesome natural chemical in Mother Nature's pharmacy, not with a PH, but with an F. It's found in a strawberry. Now, here's what the surprise is. When you compare the conventionally grown strawberry, treated with pesticides, looks pretty because bugs aren't eating it. Okay, there's no bugs or insects swarming around a pesticide-treated strawberry, and you compare it to an organic strawberry, okay, where bugs have actually been nibbling at it. If you compare the ellagic acid, there's a lot more, 3 times more ellagic acid in the organic grown strawberry. There's 3 times more of the good stuff compared to the organic. Now, why is that? This is what's really amazing. Turns out that ellagic acid, like many of these bioactives, are Mother Nature's natural insecticides and pesticides. And so what happens is that in a organically grown plant, you actually have these little bugs that are nibbling on the leaves and the stems of the strawberry, chewing at it, and this whole strawberry plant reacts to that nibbling by creating more of a natural pesticide, natural insecticide called ellagic acid. Loads up the fruit with it to protect the fruit, because that's actually what's going to be responsible for the reproductive health so that strawberry plant can live to grow another day, right? And so organic has more of the natural bioactive, whereas the pesticide treated or conventionally grown, it keeps away the bugs. Bugs aren't nibbling. Plant looks a little better, all right, but actually it doesn't need to produce as much of the ellagic acid. This has been shown not only for strawberries, but peaches, even coffee beans. Organic coffee, fair trade, organic, actually has a lot more of another bioactive called chlorogenic acid. Chlorogenic acid is incredibly powerful for streamlining your metabolism and actually improving your blood flow as well. And here's another example with coffee, where the organic version is better for you. And we've actually measured it. We found 3 times more of the good stuff. And there's an explanation. Little natural bugs and pests actually nibbling at the leaves and stems of our plants actually prompt them to actually secrete more of the good stuff. Now, I'm actually willing to pay more to get more good stuff. I don't want to be paying more to get less bad stuff. I look at it now, it's just completely changed my mind about organic foods. And so now when I have a chance, I'll actually look for the organic.
I love that. And I love the explanation. That makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of riffing off what you just said there. We have this mentality up till this point of paying for volume and calories. But what this does is flips that on its head. And even though we're paying more for organic, we can look at it like we're paying more, but we're getting more nutrition. So there's the value there.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
I think it's important we come at this from another perspective as well. So we know that the nutrients are opt-in. This is something not a lot of people are talking about, so I'm glad you went into detail there. But let's talk about it, and this ties into something you brought up a couple times, the microbiome. So what happens with that strawberry example when it is sprayed with pesticides, which is there to, keep pests away, and then it goes into our digestive system, and we have all our good bugs there, hopefully a lot of good bugs. How does our body react with those chemicals?
Yeah, it's a great question. So let me kind of back up, and what we're talking about here is bacteria. Microbiome is really an ecosystem bacteria, about 39 trillion bacteria that lives in our gut. Actually lives all over our body, in every orifice, your ears, your nose, your nostrils, your mouth, your anus. I mean, every place there's an opening, there's bacteria. But here's the crazy thing. Inside our body, we're packed with bacteria at the lower end of our gut. Okay. It's in an area, the home, the Great Barrier Reef of these natural bacteria in our body is in a part of the colon called the cecum. CECUM. And if you're in the medical field, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's a part of the organ system that a lot of people aren't familiar with that term. Because, I used to wonder, okay, so where does a microbiome, where do all these bacteria live? It's called the cecum. All right. So when I went to medical school, I was, very quickly in the first week of school taught bacteria are bad, and you're going to learn and memorize all the bacteria that are bad. And then you're going to actually take pharmacology, and we're going to teach you about all the drugs, antibiotics that can be used to kill the bad bacteria, right? And of course, even in kindergarten, we're always told, wash your hands, get rid of the bacteria, take a shower, all these kinds of messages about bacteria that have made us as a modern society shun, maybe even be a little repelled by this idea of bacteria. Well, turns out it's true. There are some bacteria that are really bad actors, and they cause all kinds of problems. But by and large, most of the bacteria that we will encounter in our lives are inside our body, not outside our body. And most of the bacteria are good, not bad. And that's what we call our gut microbiome. Our gut microbiome actually is an ecosystem of 39 trillion bacteria, most of it living inside our gut. And what they do inside our gut is they eat the food that our body doesn't digest. Let me explain. So you take a bite of an apple, all right? And our human bodies are going to absorb the natural fructose, the sugars in the apple. We're going to get the vitamins. We're actually going to get some of the other nutrients that are going to be absorbed into our body. But there's a lot of fiber that's going to be left over, right? The skin that you eat, if it's an organic apple, the fiber there's a lot of fiber in apple or pear. And then that fiber trickles down your 40 feet of intestines all the way to the cecum. And the bacteria there, you're feeding your bacteria. This leftover stuff, whatever we don't absorb, goes to the bacteria. I'm going to come back to that point because you're asking, why are the chemicals not so good for us? It's because our bacteria get fed. But if it's normal, healthy food, normal, healthy fiber, our bacteria eats that fiber, and in payback for feeding them, the love that our bacteria show for us is they produce metabolites that are anti-inflammatory. These are called short-chain fatty acids, or SCAFAs. And they lower inflammation, they promote healing, They streamline our blood lipids. They make our insulin sensitivity better, which is an important part of our metabolism. So the fuel is actually more rapidly absorbed into our bloodstream. Nobody wants to have lots of glucose, lots of blood sugar at high levels all day long. And not good for our bodies. Okay. It's like being stuck in a bathtub too long or a swimming pool too long. You know how your fingers wrinkle? That's not what you want. So you want our blood sugar to be readily absorbed into our cells. Okay. These are just partially what we know our gut bacteria does for us. So we got to feed them well. Feeding them like 3 times a day is kind of like having a pet. Our bacteria, our microbiome is like a pet. If you have a dog, a cat, a parakeet, a goldfish, most of us are responsible pet owners, so we make sure that we feed them our kibble or the flakes every single day or the seeds, right? Now, most of us will choose what kind of food we're actually feeding our pet. You don't want to feed your dog crap, right? You want to choose carefully. You want to take care of your animal. Well, that's basically what eating whole foods that are as good as possible, high quality whole foods. That's what we're feeding our gut microbiome, all right? And they pay us back by giving us health through these short-chain fatty acids. Okay, let's go back to your question. What about foods that are laden with synthetic chemicals, artificial preservatives, artificial sweeteners, by the way, is another big offender. All right, what happens is that we're feeding or we're eating it. Oh, there's no calories in artificial sweetener. This cheap shelf-stable stuff with artificial flavor tastes really great, goes down the gullet. We absorb relatively little because it doesn't have as many nutrients as the normal whole food. The rest of it, where does it go? We don't just poop it out. We're feeding our gut bacteria, that 39 trillion population, and we're feeding them crap. We're feeding them chemicals. We're feeding them things that they shouldn't be eating. Okay, imagine if you fed your pet dog, okay, really terrible quality food, chemical food all the time. I don't think your dog's going to last that long. Okay, all the problems that your vet tells you that the dogs, can have if you feed them poor quality food, that's what we're doing to our gut with all these artificial synthetic things. And so that's the reason why we need to take good care. Like this whole idea of the pregnant mom saying, I have to watch what I eat because I'm eating for 2. Well, guess what? Each of us, we're eating for 39 trillion. In fact, we are feeding our gut microbiome, and we have that responsibility. If we treat our gut microbiome well, they will treat our health well.